right, welcome to this episode of Trends, where we share kingdom perspective on hot topics all over the world. On today's episode, I have on my right the beautiful, the delectable Lewa O.
Hi, everyone.
And to my far left, I have Gracious, the amazing Gracious. Gracious, say hi.
Hi.
And of course, Nakali Esco Nakali himself.
Don't mention.
We're all here again on to discuss something very, very interesting, as we always do. Today, we are spotlighting music ministry and music industry, right? We have seen the rise of Afro gospel, in more recent years, and how that we have totally redefined what it is as believers now to say, now we have music that we can listen to in church, outside church, anywhere, across any space and time. And it's just really beautiful because we have more of that rising now, And so we're just looking at this subject matter, trying to dissect it, bringing a balance to it and sharing our thoughts about how we want to ensure that, yes, we can actually have music in church. We can have music that can transcend church. And then we can make sure that at the end of the day, there is the influence that we carry, right, as believers. There's that narrative that we are portraying. And we have many, artists that we are spotlighting in this conversation. So guys, let's just start by, doing a soft landing, and sharing our thoughts about this. And then let me start with this question. Where do we draw the line? Where do we draw the line? What are the differences in secular music, gospel music, yes, and then worldly music? Because we have artists that over time have been able to shift across all this, and then we have seen the rise and fall of some of them. We have seen how some have decided to say, okay, they don't do gospel, they do secular, and they've stayed in that confines and are really doing remarkably well. So, Gracious, let's have you.
Okay, I'm starting. So, personally, I think I'll talk about consistency. Being consistent with whatever you do, whatever you choose. Now, if you choose to be a gospel singer, stick to it. Just be consistent and grow in it. If you know you want to do Christian secular, because I think we have that now. The Christian secular, where you just you give us good Christian danceable music, and you're not all about the worldly parts. You stick to it. Don't transcend. Don't go from singing about Jesus to singing about your body. So everything goes on consistency. Let's us know where you stand. If you're with Christ, you're with Christ. If you're with the world, please, you're free to go, but try and come back later.
I'm free to go.
They're not free to go, actually. But I just feel we should try to stay consistent with whatever one chooses to do. So that's my own thought on it.
Okay, Nakali.
I have a lot of thoughts. I don't know where to start from. So let me see if I can just capture them in words. First of all, I think we might first need to do a definition of terms.
Okay.
Because there are a lot of words we use for the longest time that we intend one thing, but actually what we're actually saying is another thing. So when we hear the word secular music, right? When you hear the word religious or gospel music, when you hear the word worldly music, I might not be 100% accurate, but let me try to bring a little definition to these terms. For example, a gospel music, religious music, it's either, a song of adoration to God, Adonai, Father, we worship you, or a song of thanksgiving, or a song that just talks about the goodness of God, that just sings about the attributes of God. God is good, God is kind, God is loving, is faithful, right? That's the song that has God as the object and the subject. Now that's a gospel song. It doesn't matter what genre it is sung in. It doesn't matter if it's sung in rock, in pop, in slow, R&B, whatever, in rap. it is a gospel song. Now, on the other hand, we have secular music. Secular music in itself, let me first tell you, is not bad in itself, right? Secular music is simply saying that God is not necessarily the object and the subject per se, verbatim, right? When we sing about society, when we sing about trends, things happening in our society, when we sing about our country, sing about love, right? Maybe love between a man and a woman, that is just love. Love songs, wholesome love songs. There are love songs you hear and your mind is not polluted. It's a wholesome love song, right?
Yeah.
So yes, we have artists that do those things. We
Timmy
have
Dakolo.
We have Johnny Drill,
yeah.
my favorite.
I know, right? So we have a number of those things. Those songs are secular. They are not in themselves bad. They will not pollute your spirit. So because what makes it up to either be a secular or worldly music is the content of the lyrics.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the vessel is also important, but let's leave that conversation. Then the third category, which you call the worldly music now, is where you have outside the temple,
extreme.
where you now have all this crazy stuff where we talk about things that don't align with our Christian faith, talk about where the object and the subject is either money, women, women's body,
Everything
sex, everything that is shy against the Christian faith, right? You have that there, guns, drugs, and all of those things. That is what we term as worldly music. Now, when we now ask when is it too far? From this definition, it means that it is possible that a Christian is actively singing gospel music. And might I say also, there are gospel music artists, and then there are Christians that are artists. I can be a Christian. I'm a Christian. I go to church. I'm serious. I'm not in the choir, but I know how to sing.
Yeah.
But what I sing is secular music. I sing about love. Someone mentioned the Johnny Drill. While we are not here trying to say we are vouching for Johnny Drill, everybody will be cross. But I'm saying that based on this
Disclaimer.
pattern of songs, you can see that he sings love songs that you can listen with your child there. You're not saying close the ears.
Clean
Clean
love
love
songs.
songs, right? Timmy Dakolo has some of the evergreen love songs. I mean, when you listen to the Vow and those songs, Me, they are still evergreen till today. So it is possible to be a Christian, burning for God, yet the call you have. Let me just say this: gospel music is a calling. When you find yourself with the promptings to get into gospel, I believe that behind the ability, behind the love for music, when it's gospel, it's a calling, because we see it in the pattern of scriptures. There were people that were called Levite. They had a jurisdiction around that. So the ministry, that is now brings you into ministry. That's music ministry.
As a ministry.
Now there's now music industry that as a believer, I have the ability to sing, but I don't sense a calling to sing music. Like I don't sense a calling as a minstrel in that sense. Howbeit, I love music and I can sing. I have the skill and I can get into music for either to make money as a hobby or whatever, and I can produce songs. At that point now, I am not in music ministry, I'm in the music industry. And I will live by the dictate of the industry, although to the extent that my faith permits.
Okay, very good. Now, I really love the whole definitions that we've put to it. So the next question I want to ask us is, are you now saying that it's not possible for a believer to also hear that, okay, their line of music is not exactly in the confines of ministry, but then they should just do clean music, beautiful songs that can also be, even outside the confines of church or in church, but can also be, at anywhere in parties or at events? Is it possible that...
PJ, is very possible. So it's very possible.
Yeah, but no, you just said it now that the part where you receive that call defines music ministry.
Yes.
Then that means you could also receive that your own line and genre is different.
It's different.
The jargon ministry, that word ministry, right, is a I want to just use the word for lack of a better word, is a Christian word, right? You know what it means you are ministering to God's people. So when I say music ministry, it doesn't mean that the one that sensed that God will have him go into the world is also not in ministry. For example, when we had Great Man, Great Man on one of our shows, right? We had a very rich conversation. You should check out that conversation. I think that's on Nothing But the Truth podcast. You should check it out. Wholesome conversation. He spoke about something that relates with this. How that there are times where God will give you the prompting and an instruction to do his work, but the sphere where you're doing it is not in church per se. You are going into the world. So you are singing the kind of songs that they're familiar with, but the undertone, the object, the subject, like I said, is still Christ, is still God. Maybe not necessarily verbatim. You have not had to say it verbatim, but the
just
morals,
clean.
the values you are saying,
It aligns.
it aligns with those things. So I'm saying that when it is God that calls you and sends you, it is a ministry, whether it is in church or it is outside the confines of church.
Okay, guys. So where do we draw the line? We've lost so many people to the world. That all started in church. But now we have now said that there's a thin line. Where do we draw that thin line? We've had the likes of those who have, if you can't mention 10 artists successfully
now,
and then 9 of them
yeah.
should not say they were in choir.
Choir.
Yes. Even we spoke about Rema recently. Rema was actively in church. We have a number. We can go on and on. The list is endless. But I will say this. I will say discipleship. I would say the missing link might be discipleship. And discipleship is not just belonging to a church. Discipleship is active participation in the process that makes a person. So when we begin to, or when we adopt again the ideology of discipleship, it might help save. That's just my opinion. That's my opinion.
Because, at the end of the day, I feel if we keep losing our people to church, we've lost that essence to the world, rather. We've lost the whole essence of shaping culture. At the end of the day, they will not become...
It's now culture that is shaping us. I think I heard a statement one time. They said, it's okay when the boat is inside water. That's what it was designed for. But there's problem when the water enters inside the boat. So if God is sending us into the world, and I think that this is an encouragement to people that sense the call of God, to go to do the unusual, not the church songs, the worship songs, the adoration songs. You feel a call to go into the world and do the kind of music that people beyond church can relate to, but the undertone is still Christ. What I'm trying to say in essence is that you might need to be more conscious and more intentional
because it's bloody out
it's a slippery slope.
Yeah,
it's a dog eat dog. So if you are not shaping culture, that culture will shape you
to becoming what you don't
before
want
you
to
know.
be.
And that's the reason why a lot of people are scared to affiliate with this set of people that have been called to step into the world and sing songs that are unusual, because today now we are doing fine. Tomorrow now we'll see something that you put and we're like,
Gracious said, the consistency, and then we now start to doubt. Okay, are you with us or against us?
You have to stay in one place.
Honestly.
Let us know you for this kind of song. If you're doing gospel and secular at the same time, and you're not, using vulgar words, let us know. Don't today, because we have so many examples of, we mentioned somebody earlier, so I'm not going to mention the name. How that today is for the gospel, secular, and the next thing is singing songs in the club. Hey, you're not stable. So let us know you for one thing. If you're for Christ, be for Christ.
Thank you. So let's have our final thoughts, and then just wrap up the conversation real quick. Gracious.
Okay, on final thoughts, it's going to still be what I said at the beginning. Consistency is key. You hold God. If you know God called you into music ministry, just stay there.
Yeah.
You don't. There's literally nothing outside. What you are called to do is what you are called to do. The way you will make it, there's no assurance that if you go and sing your body, my body, that you're still going to blow. So just stay where you are and be faithful in your crafts, and that's it.
Yeah. Thank you. Lewa.
Okay. To continue from where she stopped, be faithful in your crafts, brush up your skill, be good at what you do. Gospel, secular. Of course, I'm not going to talk about the worldly songs now, because this is what
keep interceding for our people out there.
Be faithful, brush up your skill, let people resonate even beyond church. In fact, you will do some things that you would have shaping the culture already. You'd have brought people and you'll be like, okay, I didn't even know how I got here. Yeah. So sometimes, all right, I'll just stop here.
All right, Nakale.
As a matter of final thoughts, I will just say that art and culture are intertwined. Art is a very important aspect of shaping culture. So we need to get into those spaces. But I wrote something here. I said, we need more Christians beyond the confines of the church that can push ideologies and narratives. Howbeit it's a slippery slope. take care, take
Yeah,
heed.
take heed.
Lest
Take
the
heed,
person that is
lest
going to
you
fish,
fall.
we are now looking to fish him. Person that went to do follow up, we are following up the follow
now
up,
following
right?
him
And then
up.
I'll also say this, like Gracious said, go where you are sent. Our reward is not based on the flamboyance of what you're doing. It's based on where God has instructed you to be. So if God is sending you to the world, if He's sending you to stay in church and do church music, what we call church music, stay there. Your reward is there. If a, I'll say this, if a Johnny Drill is faithful in what God has asked him to do, if that is what God, and is faithful, and a Nathaniel Bassey is faithful in what God is doing, and it's God that sent him there, at the end of the day, their result will be the same. Nobody's getting it. In fact, there's the tendency that a Johnny Drill might even get one because he's in a more churches. I'm just saying, no, I'm just saying. But what my point is this: just be faithful with what God has asked you to do. Stay where you are sent.
All right, it's a wrap, guys. For me, I'll just say when it comes to the topic of shaping culture, it is all out for being unconventional.
Yeah.
So even as people in the church, we should also see that there's a need for us to be out there.
Yes.
Have eyes and ears out there. However, like Nakali said, let's ensure that we stay guarded. Do you understand? Let's ensure that we stay accountable. For those of us, who have special assignments, if it's politics, God has sent you to the mountain of media, entertainment, anything. And then there's that tendency for you to, slip up. You need that community. So that's the place of the church. Yeah. That's the place where you stay rooted and grounded. Yes. And discipleship as well. Yeah. So don't forget to subscribe to Ambience TV on YouTube. Yeah. So subscribe now if you've not subscribed. Why? Why?
Please.
Comment, like, and share this video with your friends and loved ones. Till we come your way in the next episode of Trends. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.